Hello, my name is Ronnie Holton, and I am the Department Head of the Fire Protection Technology Program here at Coastal. I am either teaching this course, FIP 230, Chemistry of Hazardous Materials, or another instructor in the program is using this lecture as part of their course, Chemistry of Hazardous Materials. Now, I have had many students to tell me that they felt like Chemistry of Hazardous Materials was a difficult course. I don't really agree with that, but I do agree that at first glance it can look intimidating. And the purpose of this lecture and any other upcoming lecture like this is to remove some of that intimidation. Now let's look at what I want you to gain by this lecture. First, when we get through, you will be able to explain the basic information provided by the periodic table. In addition, you will be able to list and define the primary features of an atom. Also, you will be able to explain the concept of families, groups, and periods as they apply to the periodic table. And hopefully you will begin the process of memorizing the chemical symbols for the most common elements. Now, this is a periodic table. It is my guess that many of you have a very good understanding of this table, or at least the basics of this table. It is also my guess that some of you do not, and it is my hope that you will benefit from this particular lecture. Now let's start by defining a few terms. The first term being atom. And the atom is defined as the smallest particle of an element, with an element being a pure substance. For example, if we had a piece of copper and it was 100% copper, that would be the element copper. Now, the atom would be the smallest part of that element copper that we could obtain and still keep the properties of the element copper. The atom has three basic structural components that we will look at in this course. They are the electron, the proton, and the neutron. And we're going to look at this as if this was sort of a planetary solar system model with a nucleus and planets we call electrons orbiting. Now, this is not the actual structure of an atom, but it will help us understand it. Let's define proton first, and it is a subatomic particle in the nucleus of an atom, meaning nucleus being center, that has a charge of +1. Now this +1 is an arbitrarily assigned value as related to the electron, which is a subatomic particle that has a charge of -1. And notice it is not in the nucleus. It basically orbits the nucleus. And then there's the neutron. It has a charge of 0. It is in the nucleus, and it should be easy to remember because neutron sounds like neutral, and neutral means there is no charge. One more term, and we will go back to the periodic table. That is atomic number. Atomic number is the number of protons in the nucleus, which, by the way, is the same as the number of electrons. Notice this particular atom in our illustration. There are 2 protons. Therefore, it has an atomic number of 2. And by the same token, it has 2 electrons. Now this gets us back to the periodic table. And the periodic table can be defined as a chart in which the chemical elements are arranged in order of increasing atomic number. Take a moment and look across from left to right. Notice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on, with each adjacent element having a higher atomic number than the element to its left or the element above it. Now, elements with similar properties are arranged in the same column, and these columns are called groups, also called families. elements with the same number of electron shells, and by electron shells we mean the number of the electron in the outermost orbit, whether it be 1, 2, 3, 8, that would be whether it be 2 or 8, that would be the electron shell. And they are arranged in the same row, called periods. Once again, families, groups are vertical, periods are horizontal. There are 18 groups in the periodic table, and the elements in each group have similar properties. Now, notice that each element has a unique symbol and a specific name. For example, hydrogen has a symbol of H. Helium has a symbol of He. Pretty straightforward. But then we get to things like gold with a symbol of Au, and lead with a symbol of Pb, which has no relation to our names. The reason for this is that these older, more elements were based on Latin names, and the Latin name had the letters Au or Pb in them. Now, in the text that is current at this lecture, you will find the most common elements on table 4.2 of your text, and it is important that you memorize those elements. If you're not using the same text, then I can assure you there will be a table of those elements somewhere. Okay, let's stop here and look at what we have learned. Hopefully you have learned the basic information provided by the periodic table, and that is things like the element symbols, and atomic numbers. You've looked at the primary structural features of an atom, consisting of the electron, the neutron, and the proton. You understand the concept of families, groups, and periods, with families and groups being the vertical columns, and elements in those vertical columns have similar properties, and the concept of period, which is elements in the rows. And you began the memorization of the chemical symbol for the most common elements. I think that's a good place to start, and we will see you in the next lecture. Thanks, and have a great course.